What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Awaken Your Champion podcast. If you're watching this is an exciting moment because this is the first episode that I am recording as a video. Technically, I think I had one on Zoom like years ago, but this one is the first one I'm putting up on YouTube, and it's me in my face, and I'm just recording, so I'm excited. And I want to share a little bit of a vulnerable share for a moment. So I still get nervous sometimes, a lot of times going to record podcast episodes. My brain is like, oh my God, it has to be so good. Like, I want people to like it. What if I stutter? What if I forget what I'm saying? Or, all those fears and insecurities coming up, And you know what I did before this episode? I literally went to record, and then I was like, nope, I'm going to pause this. And I did a little dance party. I played a good song I liked, and I just danced around and loosened my body up and reminded myself that one, I get to record this, I get to do this, and I want to have fun with it. The reason I'm sharing this is because I want to have fun with it, and I enjoy sharing my insights, and I enjoy inspiring and impacting high performers and athletes and big dreamers and people that are on similar missions as me, So that's why I'm doing this. And I just needed to get out of my head. And I share that because, one, I truly believe that the best leaders are ones that lead by example and that are just real people. And I'm being a real person. We all have our own stuff that comes up, our own fears and insecurities, and they try to keep us safe and keep us protected, but sometimes they just hold us back. And, the way to grow is by stepping out of your comfort zone. And for me, right now in this moment, that's me embracing being imperfect and going out of my comfort zone in this way, And if you're listening, and no matter whether you're an athlete or whether you're an entrepreneur or you're some sort of creative or you have some sort of vision that you're bringing to life, you have some sort of goal that you're bringing to life, if it's a really big goal, if it's a really big vision that means a lot to you, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. That's how you grow. That's how you become the version of yourself that is living your dreams. And that was it's seemingly minuscule example of, me doing that on my path. But, it's relevant for any path towards greatness, any path towards a big dream, any path towards a big goal. And the other thing I want to say is, doing a little ritual like that, like a little dance party and shaking it out, is impactful for entrepreneurs like myself, creatives like myself right now, but also athletes. Athletes, we freaking get nervous before competitions, and the best thing you can do is just get out of your head and just kind of get yourself loosened up and remind yourself why you're here. And odds are it's because you love your sport, you love your craft, and if you can get your mind in a good space before the competition, whether that is by, doing a little dance party or playing hacky sack or whatever, do that. Have that as your pre-game ritual. This might become my pre-podcast ritual. Who knows? It might probably will change. But hopefully you guys got some little nuggets out of that share. So today's episode, I did make some notes on, what I want to talk about, have a general idea of what we're going to talk about. I want to really show the parallels between different worlds of success, right? I talk a lot about athletic success. I work primarily with athletes right now, but it's evolving into other realms of success, entrepreneurship, just different organizations, different aspects of success. And I want to talk about the parallels that exist in between these different realms, right? I think a lot of people see athletics as one, primarily just this physical thing. I think that the best athletes are the ones that just work really hard and are really strong and really fast and really skilled. And that is part of it for sure. But there is a huge, huge aspect of it, which is mental and energetic. And that's essentially what I say what my job is. I don't like calling this a job, but this, my mission is to teach and support high performers in the mental and energetic side of performance, because that's such an important part of it. And So high performing athletes, there's a certain mindset that they have. There's a certain set of beliefs that they have. There's certain mental skills that they have, a certain energy that they have to embody. And it's the same whether you're an athlete pursuing a championship or, a gold medal, and an entrepreneur or creative. So I want to talk about that today. And I made some notes, and I'm honestly just going to let this flow however it goes. I may not get to certain aspects that I wrote down, and I might go in a different direction, and we're just going to go with it. We're going to just trust it, that whatever comes out is going to be exactly what the most people need to hear. So I wanted to start, though, with a little bit of my background. So, this podcast is, a few years old, and I started it when I was doing competitive bodybuilding, when I was doing fitness coaching, and I took some years off because I was just going through my own inner transformation, and now we're back and better than ever. But I just want to give a little background on bodybuilding. So for those of you that don't know, I've been an athlete most of my life. I played soccer until high school. I reffed and coached soccer. I ran track. I did a little bit of dance. And then I got really into weightlifting in high school as well. And I loved it. I loved the challenge of it. I loved that I was able to create these results for my body. I was able to get stronger and literally transform my body looked, and just by the work I put in. And then in college, after grad school, during grad school, I was like, you know what? I feel like I have so much more potential, and I feel like I'm kind of plateauing in the gym. I just really wanted to challenge myself mentally and physically. So I decided to pursue competitive bodybuilding, and I became quite obsessed with it. And I don't want to talk about this too much, but basically I was so in love with this sport, with this journey. I just really admired the process. I thought it was so incredible how I could completely transform how my body looked just by what I was eating and how I was training. And I just thought it was so incredible. I was like, the body is so magnificent. And I just fell in love with it. I loved the dedication that it required. I loved the challenge of bodybuilding. I met some of my very best friends right now, so many people I know that I still talk to. Actually, a friend I talked to today, I met through bodybuilding. And I just fell in love with the whole process of it. I loved how powerful I felt. And just the whole process. And if you're not familiar with bodybuilding, competitive bodybuilding specifically, so basically there's different classes. There's each class has different criteria, different amounts of muscle that you need to have, different shapes that they want. Some want you to have a certain amount of muscle but not be super lean, and then others, the higher up the class, the more muscle you need and the leaner you need to be, essentially. And I lost track of my thought, where I was going with that. Wow, where was I going with that? Anyways, bodybuilding, if you're not familiar with bodybuilding, it is a very mental sport. It looks very physical because, the goal is to create a certain physical look of your body. But it's such a mental sport because you have to be on 100% of the time. I do, let's take, typical sports, quote unquote, like soccer, lacrosse, basketball, even track, right? you go to practice, you go to training, you do your thing, you give 100%, and then you go home. Like you're still getting some good sleep, you're still eating really well. There's 100% a mental aspect of it. But you can kind of like have a couple days where you're like, I didn't get great sleep last night, or I had a glass of wine, or I had some McDonald's or something, right? Like you can kind of have moments of that. You don't have to be 100% to still see results. With bodybuilding, you are 100% or not, right? Because your goal is to get to a certain level of leanness, essentially, especially when you're prepping, getting close to a show. If you're skipping corners, if you're munching on things at nighttime that aren't a part of your diet, if you're not getting good sleep, those little details play a huge role. And, the leaner you get, let's say you're like 4 weeks away from your show, at that point, you're pretty lean. Like you can see like all these lines in your muscles and you're just very, very lean. And the details that are going to continue to shift over the next 4 weeks are very small, but they matter so much, because if you're not making those small shifts, you're not going to see the results. You're not going to get to the end goal that you have, which is, a certain level of leanness. You just won't see the results that you want. And at that point, you are basically feel like death. I'm going to be honest. And I will preface this, I have so much love and respect for bodybuilding. And it was truly one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. And I want to continue to just share bits about it because it was such a powerful experience, such a powerful teacher, for athletics, for high performance, for life. And I want to share more of those things. But I will also say that bodybuilding isn't the healthiest sport. There's ways to do it in like a healthy way. But it's not the healthiest sport. So I will say that. Because being that lean is not healthy. So anyways, but when you're about 4 weeks out from a show and you're on point, you're like on track with where you need to be, you're very, very lean. Your body fat is so low, which means you have no cushion under your butt, like sitting kind of hurts. You have literally no energy. Like when I say no energy, I mean like none. Like I've never experienced this level of fatigue in my entire life. Like I want you to imagine a day when you were like the most tired, and then like multiply that by 10. Like there were days when just standing up out of my seat, I literally had to like count to 10 to like prepare myself, because you physically have no energy. You have no extra body fat, like minimal extra body fat. So you have no extra energy for your body to consume. You're generally eating very low calories. Even if you've done, the preparation physically and you're able to kind of make sure you're eating a good amount of food at the end of your prep, you're still not eating a lot of food. So you're very hungry, which means, your body doesn't have the energy to do basic functions. Like it doesn't have energy to focus. Your memory is like, my memory was not great. Like if people told me things during the last 4 weeks of my prep, I'd be like, I don't even know what you just said. Like focus is really hard. You're absolutely dead. Like your muscles, everything just hurts. Everything is just you're in so much pain. And I know it sounds kind of dramatic, but it is like, it's such a mental sport, because everything in you is saying like, dude, stop, like go to sleep, go eat 3 burgers. Don't go to the gym. Don't go do an hour and a half, 2 hours of cardio. Don't go lifting weights. Don't go squat 200, 300 pounds, like when you're exhausted, but you're doing that. You're doing it because you have this goal. You've set a goal for yourself and you're sticking with it. And so when I say that bodybuilding is like one of the greatest teachers and it's such a mental sport, it's that, because everything in you is telling you to stop. Everything in you is telling you to do the complete opposite of what you're doing, which is training hard AF, doing a lot of cardio, pushing yourself to limits. You're not just going to the gym and like going through the motions. You're pushing yourself so like to the max. You're not holding back, So imagine like a really hard workout, and then imagine having literally zero energy and then still doing that, and you're starving. You're so hungry. Like, I had a couple nights when I woke up in the middle of the night so hungry, like my stomach physically hurt, and I was like crying because I was just, your emotions are all over the place. I feel like I'm not making bodybuilding sound very fun, but I loved the suck of it too, like, I think when you're pursuing a big goal, whether it's, a championship in your sport, or a gold medal, or you are building a business, or you're building some sort of vision, you're going to have moments of adversity. You're going to have moments of challenge. You're going to have moments when you're like, holy crap, why the heck am I doing this? This is really hard. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know how I'm going to make it through. And then you push through anyways. And bodybuilding really taught me how to do that. It taught me how to not just push through and keep moving forward, but how to speak to myself in those moments. How do I, stay uplifted? How do I stay excited about what I'm doing? How do I remind myself that, no, I can do this. I'm actually stronger than I even realize. I'm more powerful than I even realize. And I'm more capable than I even realize, and I think that when you're pursuing any big dream or any big goal, and you're really performing at a high level, you will 100% have moments like that. You are going to be challenged. It's part of the journey. And you have to learn how to be truly resilient. And a big part of that is that mental talk that you have for yourself in those moments. It's so easy to throw in the towel in those moments. It's so easy to doubt. It's so easy to want to quit. It's so easy to even keep moving, but like kind of being like, this sucks. I don't like this. Like, that's not resilience. You're moving forward, but like a true resilient person is someone who can see the positives in those moments, can see that the challenge is what's growing them, can speak to themselves from a place of belief and uplift themselves in those moments. And bodybuilding taught me that on like such an extreme level, such an intense level, because I was so uncomfortable. Everything in me was telling me to quit. There was so much doubt. Emotions are high. Everyone around you who doesn't understand bodybuilding is like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you doing this? Like, just have a cupcake. Everything outside of you and inside of you is saying like, stop. But there's this part of you that's like, no, I have to keep going, and I think that for me was my heart. And it was just, I have this soul that's just so dedicated, that's so driven, like this warrior spirit. And like, I have to keep going. And I'm so glad I did, because again, like bodybuilding has been such a great teacher for me. So I guess one of the messages I want to share is that you listening to this, I know that there's some goal that you're working towards, whether it is in athletics, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it's some sort of creative vision. Understand that you're going to have moments of challenge. They may not be these like super intense moments when you're crying and everything just doesn't make sense. They might be big, small, medium, whatever, but you're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have moments of challenge. You're going to have moments when you're wondering why you are doing what you are doing. And those moments are actually such a blessing, because they develop you into the version of yourself who can be sustainable at the level that you're working towards, right? Like if you are a college athlete and maybe you're wanting to jump from Division 3, Division 2 to go to Division 2 or Division 1, or you want to go pro, right? You have to become a new version of yourself at that level. You have to develop stronger belief in yourself. You have to develop an even stronger work ethic. You have to think differently to be a professional athlete, right? Like, yes, there's a difference in skill, but you're going to have harder opponents, right? You're going to be challenged more in the gym, in your training sessions. You have to become a new version of yourself. And that means you have to face different levels of adversity, different challenges, but those are the challenges are what develop us. They're what develop and strengthen our confidence in ourselves. They are what help us strengthen our belief in ourselves and in our dreams and our visions. You know, a lot of people don't become successful. They don't bring their dreams or their goals to life because they face a challenge and then they think, oh, this is This is a reason I should stop. And then they don't grow. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not who I'm speaking to. And odds are you're listening to this podcast or watching this video, and that is not who you are. There's a part of you that is extremely dedicated to your passion, to your vision, to your sport, to your goal, whatever, right? And you know that you have to keep going. There's a part of you that's just like pulling you to grow. And I think it's really important to just be prepared for those moments to come, for adversity to come, to be challenged, and embrace it. You know, if you follow the Beginner Champion social media pages on Instagram or TikTok, I actually can't remember if I posted this or I think I'm about to post it. I recorded this video the other day that I will be posting if I haven't posted it yet. I don't think I did. And it's about resilience. No, I did post it because I talked about gratitude and how instead of experiencing adversity and coming from this place of, oh, this sucks. Like, this is happening for me. This is so challenging. This is so hard. Like, why is this happening for me? Like, how am I going to make it through? If you can go into adversity with this mindset of, oh my God, I'm so grateful this is happening. This is freaking awesome. You know, this means I'm pursuing my goal. This means I'm growing. What can I learn from this situation? You know, how can I develop my belief in myself? How can I develop my confidence in myself in this moment? And come from it from a place of gratitude, dude, you're going to not only are you going to move past that challenge so much more smoothly and likely see better results, but you're going to grow so much faster because instead of resisting that challenge, you're going to just lean into it. And that's truly what I believe is a big quality of a champion. You know, and when I say champion, I'm of course I'm talking about athletic champions, but I think being a champion is a way of life. It's a mindset. It's an identity because what I was planning to talk about today is that the blueprint to be successful in athletics, in entrepreneurship, and in bringing any big vision to life is the same. You know, so a champion is someone who essentially has this big goal, has this big dream, and they embody these qualities, this mindset, this way of life to bring that dream to life. Whether that is a championship, a gold medal, a 6-7-figure business, bringing a book to life that you've had this idea to write forever. It's the same blueprint. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about today. But clearly the message about bodybuilding needed to come through and resilience. So, first, I would love if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, I would love if you have any comments, any thoughts you want to share in the comments. I really want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear from you guys. I want to support you guys. And I want the comments to be a section where other like-minded high performers can connect and support one another. So, with that, I was planning on talking a bit about, like I said, the parallels between different realms of high performance, right? And, you know, I think this might end up being another episode, to be honest, because I really want to dive into it deeper. But just to kind of tap into it a little bit. When I say that the blueprint is the same, it really is, you know, because essentially you have this vision, you have this goal that you're working towards. And the way to bringing that goal to life, bringing that vision to life is by getting really clear on who you need to be to make that goal inevitable, to make that vision inevitable, right? So if we're talking about athletics and you're trying to become a professional athlete, let's say you're trying to become a professional soccer player, I want you to ask yourself, okay, who is that version of myself who can live at that level? Like, what's the gap between who I'm being right now as an individual, as an athlete, and where I want to be as an individual, as an athlete, right? Like, what habits of mine need to go? Am I snoozing in the morning? Am I not really getting great sleep? Is my diet kind of 80% okay and then 20% meaning like not the greatest foods? Where in my training am I holding back? Are you giving 90% when you could be giving 100%? Or where are you resisting feedback from your coaches, from your mentors, from your teammates? And how do you think? How would the professional soccer player version of you be thinking? Would they be doubting themselves as much as you're doubting yourself now? Would they be speaking down on themselves when they make a mistake? Would they be telling themselves that they're not good enough, you're not doing enough, you need to do more? Like, would they be giving that kind of energy to themselves? Would they be like not holding themselves back, but I mean, sort of, but like, I would say, I can't think of the word, but people that are really successful, they become their own greatest supporter. They have to be the one that uplifts themselves when they're down. They have to be the one that says, no, you can do this. Like, you got this, dude. Like, you got this. You can do this. You got more. You're so strong. You're so capable. Like, you can handle this. You've been here before. Like, you have to develop the best self-talk ever. You have to become your own greatest cheerleader. And so my question is, how can you close that gap between who you're currently being as an athlete, as an individual, and where you want to be? Because that is how we bring dreams to life, is the internal shift from within first, and then the external results happen. And so I want to kind of explain the rest of the blueprint, but I guess I'll do that first. So we have a vision, we have a goal. Then we get really clear on who is the version of myself living in that reality. And then basically you get really clear on the gap between where you're at now and where you want to be. And I talk about, in this gap is a lot of resistance. And you have to face that resistance. You've got to clear out all the blockages, right? So is that like limiting beliefs that you have? Is it self-doubt? Is it self-sabotage? Is it certain habits that are holding you back? Like, what is the resistance, the gap between where you say you want to be and where you're at now? And then you close the gap. And it might be through mental practices. It might be through different habits. It might be through, there's tons of things you can do depending on your goal. That's essentially what I help people do, is I help people become that version of themselves. Or I support teams in becoming the team that's capable of bringing their dream to life, right? So that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint to success, is the vision. Get clear on the vision, get clear on the version of yourself in that vision. What's the resistance? Get clear on it, clear out the resistance, and close the gap, and ultimately become that person. And I know I use the example of being a professional soccer player, but it's the same for entrepreneurship too. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an athlete and you're not an entrepreneur, listen to this because it's still super relevant, and I want you to see the parallels. So entrepreneurship is very similar because you have this goal. I want X amount of clients, or I want to create this much impact. I want to reach this many people. I want to be making this much money. I want to, whatever the goal is. Then you get clear on who the version of yourself is in that reality. And I want to kind of tap into both examples, because when I say that it's important to become that version of yourself first, it's because there's certain challenges that are going to come up in that level that you're trying to reach, that if you're not the version of yourself who can handle them, you won't be able to handle it, right? You'll self-sabotage, or you'll fail, right? You won't be able to do it, right? Like, a simple example is like a soccer player with the ability to shoot the ball in the goal. If you don't have that skill, you're not going to be successful as a professional soccer player. Same thing with, having resilience. If you don't know how to stay calm in pressured situations, if you don't have that belief in yourself and in your team that, you can come back from a game where you're losing 3-1, You know, if you don't have that, you're not going to be successful. You have to have that, that mental skill, that quality, those physical skills to be able to succeed and live at that reality. You know, and entrepreneurship is similar where, you know, entrepreneurship is very, I like to say that entrepreneurship is like, I've heard this phrase before, but it's like self-development on steroids, kind of, because it's just, it'll show you exactly where you need to grow, right? Like as an entrepreneur, you're putting yourself out there, you're talking about your brand, you're talking about the things that you have to offer. If you don't believe in your worth, you're not going to charge appropriately. You know, you might people please, you might kind of like not really talk about what it is that you're excited about, which is your brand, because you're scared people won't like it, or they won't resonate with it, or they'll think it's, you know, not good. If you're scared of being seen or heard, and you're scared of people like noticing you, and you like to be kind of in the background, well, how do you expect people to find you? How do you expect people to find your brand? You know, you have to become the version of yourself who is so confident in yourself, who believes and knows in their worth, who is excited to talk about what it is that they have to offer, and isn't afraid of rejection. Because if you're making offers and telling people like, hey, I have this amazing product, I have this amazing service, and if they say no, if you're really scared of rejection, that's going to be like terrifying. But if you're okay with it and you're like, okay, that's fine, I still believe in myself, I still know how much value I have to give. If you change your mind later on, like, cool, I'm here for you. If not, no big deal. I'll find other clients, you know? So again, like, just want to show the parallels between these realms. And you really, like, the biggest thing is like the self-development. Like, you have to become the version of yourself who can sustain that reality. I think I'm going to definitely be talking a lot more about this in the future. But for now, because I don't want this episode to be super long, I'm just going to tap into that. And I want you guys just to see the parallels. And I really want you to notice whatever your arena of choice is when it comes to success, right? Like, I like to use the term arena. Like, if you're in the athletic arena, if you're in the arena of soccer, the arena of lacrosse, if you're in the arena of entrepreneurship, or the arena of writing a book, like, that's your arena, right? Whatever your arena is, like, the framework is the same. And so whatever your arena is of choice, I want you to start noticing the parallels in other aspects of your life, right? Like, if you're a soccer player and you're wanting to develop your own confidence in yourself and your own skills, I want you to start noticing how confidence shows up in other aspects of your life, or maybe lack of confidence, right? Like, do you notice it in your work? Do you notice it in your relationships? Do you notice it in other aspects of your life? Where do you notice that? Because it's all connected, right? So if you're trying to build confidence in yourself as a soccer player, ask yourself, where in my life do I have room to grow in my confidence skills in other aspects of my life? And the same thing if you're an entrepreneur. You know, it's all connected. And if, again, you come back to the root of self-development, developing yourself from within, you will see the physical results, because you're becoming a new version of yourself. You're up-leveling as a new version of yourself. So this feels like a really good spot to wrap up. One more thing I want to mention is, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see I have a bunch of sticky notes to my side on one of my dressers, and they're all affirmations. They're just reminders to myself based on where I'm heading, who I want to be. And these sticky notes have probably been there for like the last, 2 years or something. But I keep changing them as I up level. So like sticky notes I had up there for like, a year ago, 2 years ago, I feel like I've already become those versions of myself. Like, I'm already the confident version. I'm already doing the things that I said I wanted to do 2 years ago. And so my sticky notes continue to change. And I have them there because every day I look at them and it's like a reminder of who I am, who I'm becoming. And so I want to invite you to do the same thing. whether you're a soccer player, it doesn't matter. Whatever your goal is, I want you to write down affirmations about who you are, who you're becoming, right? So it can be, you know, I am so confident in myself. I am becoming the version of myself who is so capable. You know, I am on the starting lineup of my team. I am a championship winning athlete. I am a 6-figure entrepreneur. I am so confident when it comes to sharing my brand. Like, whatever comes to mind, I want you to write down, let's say at least 3 affirmations, but you can have a bunch. And post it somewhere that you'll see every day, whether it's on your dresser, on your bathroom mirror, like in your car. Post it. Literally. Oh, that was actually funny because that kind of went really well. Okay. Yeah. Post it somewhere that you'll see every day as a reminder, and notice how you start to just believe in it without even realizing it. Your life starts to shift. So yeah, I definitely invite you to do that. If you are watching this on YouTube, I would love if you subscribe to my channel, like the video, give us a comment. Again, I want the comments to be a space for us to just like-minded people to get connected and support one another. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can still comment. Also follow along this podcast, and I believe you can rate it 5 stars. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're loving it, I would definitely appreciate a 5-star rating. And just so this will help me reach more people, more high performers, and then we're just having a whole world of people that are just freaking becoming the greatest version of themselves and bringing their dreams to life. So that sounds like a really great spot to wrap up. I am so grateful for you guys for listening. I really hope to hear from you guys in the comments, and I will put in the description box links to the Awaken Your Champion Instagram and TikTok and all the things. And if you are looking for extra support, you can go to the website or message me on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, and I would love to support you. So with that, have a lovely day. I will talk to you guys soon.